That was an abrupt transition. Um, what's up, everybody? What's up, Josh? Nice to see you in there. How's everything over on that side of the world? I always forget how old he is. I think he's like 15. Oh, yeah. He did what was that? That was a guillotine mastery, I think, or well, which one's the one that doesn't talk a lot? Is that Henner or Huron? Well, no, the one that talks a lot. The one that talks a lot is
Huron. Yeah.
Huron. Okay. So yes, Henner. Yes, he did a. It was a cross collar choke seminar. He did at ground control.
Yeah, I've been to a few seminars with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
3 now at this
Let
point.
me grab my water real quick. My mouth's a little dry here. So, yeah, it was a really good seminar. Like they. Teeny better, but still in lockdown. Yeah. We're starting to open up some stuff over here, but I don't know if our state's going to be doing that anytime in the next week or 2 or 3 or whatever, but probably not. But yeah, his cross collar seminar was cool because you could watch him roll with people.
Yeah.
And basically they knew he was just going to cross collar choke. I mean, he got everybody. Didn't matter what belt they were and stuff. That was the first time. In fact, you know what's funny? I'm glad you brought that up because I think that was the first time I actually saw. Oh, like that's like I think I fundamentally knew it, but I was like, he's a black belt and he's a black belt, but they're not the same.
Yeah.
Because I was watching him, and same thing with Huron at the seminar. He did it was a guillotine mastery seminar. Watching him roll with, it didn't matter who he's rolling with. It's just someone that's done it since they were like a kid, and I'm jealous. I guess that's the thing. I'm jealous. I started as an old person.
I think the one thing I took away from training with Henner was he had this breathing technique that he used, and I've used it ever since then. I think I might have been a white belt at the time, maybe a blue belt, but ever since then I started using the same technique that he used. And sometimes people are like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I learned this from Henner, and it's what I do now."
Mm-hmm. Well, it's just this form of essentially breath control while you're doing it. It's like I've said on here before, but one of the things that yoga helped me most with, I mean, my flexibility was good and it helped me better, but it was my breathing in jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
It kind of showed me, I can control my breathing while my heart rate's going and I'm kind of uncomfortable, but my breathing doesn't have to be crazy. And that was like one of the cool things that I took from yoga.
That's true.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I guess you haven't been training very much, obviously, and from out where you are, we're kind of in the same situation. I've been drilling with these dummies I have, so you do what you do. There's some people there. So we'll give a little time. And the other thing is, like I said, sometimes it says like one person is on there, but there's like 8 people chatting. So what I was going to talk about today was something I might be competing.
Nice.
August, if it's all is good. Awesome. Yeah, I think August is probably a good enough time frame away. Like I think they still have like Masters Worlds is always in August out here.
Scheduled for August.
Yeah, that was my thing. I'm like, it's scheduled for August, but I'm not sure what that means anymore. I had concert tickets, the stuff that's going to get rescheduled, I guess. And movies that were supposed to come out that have gotten pushed back. It's like all types of weird stuff.
Speaking of movies, we were having this conversation yesterday where like this is the time for the drive-in to make a comeback.
Oh gosh!
If I had a big open field, man, I would I would open up a pop-up drive-in movie theater. Like you can social distance in your car. You could have people bring the food to your car and drop it off. Like
that's a fantastic idea.
I was like, if I had the space, I would run a pop-up drive-in theater right now.
I guarantee you. I wonder if I know up north of Baltimore, there's a drive-in. I think it's still.
It might still be open.
But I don't know if they're still open now. But that's like it's a perfect idea.
Yeah, you think about like the roller rink down the street or the bowling alley where they have these huge parking lots already. They just have to figure out how to put up some sort of tarp or screen.
Yeah.
And just. But anyway, I'm not a businessman, but it's a great idea.
No, yeah, that's a free one to whoever sees this. You can make that work. Give him like a % at the end. My ears have gotten bigger. Oh, it's probably from wearing masks all the time, and then pulling my ears out like this. Everybody thought jiu-jitsu was going to be what they did for 8 years, and it was the masks. No, I don't think it's gotten any worse than it was. maybe I just the facial hair makes me look more manly, and it emphasizes like ear stuff because I don't have really good ears for this stuff. So anyway, I think we'll just get into what we're going to talk about today. And if people have any questions or want to talk about anything specific, they can just chime in. Oh, you know what I should do? I know this is obviously up on Twitch because he's responding, but I should probably verify that it's up on the other things. I usually am better at this.
You guys gonna do some
Doing rolls. I don't know. I think we might get fined if we did that.
Yeah, it's still pandemic season. I don't know if that's.
Yeah, people are weird about that. I don't know. I don't think we're weird about it, but it's like I don't want to. For like 6 months from now, someone's like, yeah, we're going back and trying to see who wasn't doing what they're supposed to or anything. They're like they don't know. We might live together. You never know. There's you stretching. So yep, that's live. All right, looks like everything's good. So what I wanted to talk about and go into today, and those. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about something I maybe have talked about in the past, but I never really went into details about it very much. It was usually part of something else that I was showing, or just something I kind of like mentioned in passing, like this can also happen. But if you've watched my streams and stuff, you know one of my main guard passes that I've done pretty much since white belt has been knee cut, and it's a pretty basic pass, and everybody knows a knee cut, so I'm not going to really show a knee cut. Also, let me know if the sound's good, like if it needs to be turned up or down or whatever. It's hard to hear me. I don't really have a way of testing that ahead of time here. So, but when we talk about, let's go this way. Yeah. Actually, this is it. That's a good angle. So when we talk about knee cutting, one of the things we always learn very early, and we know if we have good instructors, like we have had, is that once you go into the knee cut, it's really a fight for this underhook. So once I've gotten over, the first fight is to kill this leg and get over, but once I get here, if I get a grip here, I'm keeping this tight as I pass through here so that he can't get, because I don't want to let him get the underhook. It keeps him close, which I like because he can't move away from me, so I can control the space between us. But it's really so he can't get an underhook here. But if I come out here and I'm lazy with this, or maybe he's just really good at this, and he gets this underhook, I can't keep going for a knee cut now. If I keep going for a knee cut, I'm just going to get bumped forward, and he can come out and start taking my back, or all types of bad things can happen. So what we're trying to do with this here is to not let that happen. But, that's best case scenario. That's not always the case of what we can do. So in comps, are you allowed to put your knee in the groin area to pass? I don't know. I don't know if there's technically rules down about that. I think that's the rule of like, don't be that guy. Because the thing is, I think if it's kind of like an unwritten rule, we're not really kneeing each other in the groin. I guess it's always possible that could be your strategy. But the problem is then everybody's just going to knee you in the groin. And especially if you go against somebody that's better than you, they could just keep kneeing you over the groin. Like they're going to make it very clear, don't do that pretty quick. So let's say I've lost this underhook, all right? I have a couple options. One is I can fight to get this underhook back, which would be great, but we're still in that fight and he's not staying still. So if we have the position to keep fighting this back and get it, great. But a lot of times we're not. So let's go back a little bit, sorry. So a lot of times we're not. So what we want to do, and this is something I've been drilling a lot lately, is this movement where we're going to change the situation. Because right now, if I have this, I'm in the better situation. As soon as he gets this underhook and is like this, it's a bad situation for me. So I need to fix it. So I'm going to change what the position we're in to one that's more advantageous to me. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this hand that's posted out here, and I'm going to try to cup his armpit over here. Sometimes the best we can get is like a headlock. I would prefer not to get that, but sometimes that's the best we can get. But what I'm shooting for is to get a good kind of grip in his, like the pocket of his armpit here. And I'm going to post and I'm going to do a big back step. Okay? So when I back step, I'm back stepping over and I'm bringing my hip down. And I'm trying to maintain a good shoulder pressure here, okay? Let's go ahead and turn this scoop back that way. You remember when you watched my match that I lost and you pulled guard straight away, had my knees grind? Well, sometimes that's what happens. That's fine. So once we're here, one of the things I need to make sure of when I do this back step is I'm maintaining this shoulder pressure so he can't turn up into me, okay? See how he's kind of stuck? Because what happens is if I do this back step and I'm very loose, and then I can't keep him flat, he's going to turn up into me and it's not going to be good, okay? So what I'm doing is I'm using that grip. You know, sometimes we even just get a grip on the material before we back step. But the trick to me of maintaining a good shoulder pressure is that I'm not trying to put my shoulder into his face. Because, I mean, it might not feel great to him, but I'm not really controlling his body like I want. So when I'm, when I'm trying to keep this pressure strong to keep him pinned down, I'm trying to shoot generally my shoulder kind of into his upper chest area so that when I pressure in, it slides up, which is going to push everything this way. So it looks more like here, and I'm pushing up. So although I'm not driving into his face, he can't turn into me at all. Kind of keeps him pinned down. If I need, I can grab a little deeper in here, readjust, but so now that I'm here, he still has a grip on my foot. So one of the most basic things we're going to do, we're going to spin around here. Just yeah, so that they can see. Keep going that way more. Yeah, here we go. So now that I'm keeping the shoulder pressure on his face so he can't turn up into me, I don't want to allow him to keep his knees up. I'm going to move my knees so you can see. With his knees up, he has a lot of options. Yes, he can hook and then drive up. There's a lot of sneaky lapel stuff. If he gets this lapel out under my leg and gets a grip, he can then let go of this thing and bridge up into me, into side control. A lot of things I don't want to have happen. So what I do to stop that is I'm grabbing his knees and I'm going to drive them down. I can do that by scooting my hips back. So I'm pushing them down as I scoot my hips back and keep them low. Now all those options are gone. And the most basic thing we're going to do here, what is that, the workplace obsession guy on your Instagram? Yes, this is workplace obsession on Instagram. So once we're here, keeping the grip here, and the most basic thing we can do here is just use my other foot to start to extend and push my foot out by backing my hips up until my foot comes out. Please note I am maintaining this shoulder pressure the whole time, because if at any point I lose the shoulder pressure, we're back in that same scenario where you can turn up into me. All right? So we want to maintain that shoulder pressure the whole time. Put the legs down, foot on the hip or the foot on the knee or quad area, and we just push and scoot our hips back and then drive forward into side control. Sorry. There you go. Sorry. You got a lot of dry mouth. So, the reason I've been working on that position is because in the past my response to people getting the underhook has always been to kind of hunker down, fight for the underhook back, or try to make it that their underhook isn't as effective. Where a much easier path is just to back step over, change the position to a better one for me, where I don't have to work so hard for all that. This is kind of like the concepts I've been playing around with in my mind a lot with my jiu-jitsu, is taking the things like a knee cut, and instead of having a knee cut that's so strong and controlled that they can't stop it, I mean, that's great. But once they stop it, however they stopped it, turn it into something better. You know, the turning the knee cut into the smash pass is an example of that, where it's just like, this direction isn't going to work anymore. Boom. If I can transition back to that smash pass easy, I just changed the position to one that's much better for me. And I don't have to fight half as hard. So that's what I've been thinking about with this. Because in truth, this is what JP does to me every time. When I'm on bottom, you know, I have a pretty good half guard, and I'm pretty good at getting underhook. When I get the underhook on him, he just backsteps into this, where my underhook doesn't matter anymore.
Right.
Like, and I have to, and he's ahead of me from that position where I can't respond fast enough, and then I'm just like, here we are again, you know. And I'm getting better, but it's still one of those things like, if I can get the underhook on him, it doesn't matter because he's changed the position so fast that I'm back to a position I'm not as good as I was just now. So it's like boom, 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 gotta keep responding. So that's what I've been working on in terms of drilling and thinking about this back step. Do you have any questions about that?
Yeah. So what if he just bridges?
Oh, he just bridges though? So that's where the shoulder pressure is important, okay? Because the thing is, understand that my hips are not on his hips. If my hips are on his hips or his hips are under my hips, that's not where I want to be. Because then, yes, he can bridge me up, okay? So let's go back to just this way. So yeah, if I'm here going for the knee cut, he gets that underhook here, and I go and grab and back step here. If you look, see, oh, let's scoot that way, sorry. I think I can change, I think I have to change the webcam setting. I think I can make it wider. But if you look, the bridging will become a problem if I'm like this, where my hips are on his hips basically, and his hips are under my hips. That's why I'm scooting my hips back here to the ground, and I'm keeping my shoulder pressure. Because now if he tries to bridge into me, he doesn't have much control, see, yes, into my hip. All he's doing is bridging into the shoulder pressure. And if I have a good enough shoulder pressure, he's not going to be able to turn up into me, okay? And the thing is, that will also, sometimes, if they're really hell-bent on that, that will create easy ways of getting this leg out. Because if I get to here, and he's really hell-bent on bridging and turning into me, a lot of times, you know, he's making it very easy for me to slide my foot out because he's focusing on bridging instead of controlling my foot. Most times, in my experience, most people clamp down on that foot really, really tight because they don't want to let you, they know if they get the foot out, you pass their guard.
Yeah.
So my experience is that people really...
I'll borrow you from there.
Yep.
So, same thing, like John was saying. What I look for though, what I realized too is lower level, white belt, blue belt, and purple belt as you progress. I think it's more difficult to be efficient at shoulder pressure. I think it's more difficult to get good at putting shoulder pressure in the right place at the right time, especially if we're rolling full speed and I backstep. Even me at my level, sometimes I'll be here because I do this lazy post. To me, let's shuffle a little bit. To me, what's more important at the initial execution of the technique is what John mentioned, pulling the legs down. Because if we turn a little bit more, even if I don't have this really good shoulder pressure just yet, he can't bridge because his feet are pointed out there towards the wall.
Yeah.
If I let him stay here, now he can bridge because he can push off the mat. I immediately want to turn the legs away. I don't even have shoulder pressure now. It's terrible that I don't, I should, but I'm controlling this so he can't bridge anyway. The best he can do is open his legs up to try to turn his legs back. And then if he does break this triangle open, with your legs, if he opens this up to try to turn his knees back, then I'm just gonna come right out and finish the pass without using shoulder pressure. And I only say that because as you progress, you'll notice that you become more efficient with shoulder pressure as you progress. But at the white belt and blue belt level, shoulder pressure may not be there, you know. So that's what I focus on actually more is pulling the legs across.
Yeah. Oh, and you're also, it's kind of the thought process, and there's a lot of different positions that uses dynamic where, based on the directions their hips are pointed, really determines what their options are.
Yeah.
With their hips pointing towards you, really their only option is to kind of shrimp out or kind of move away. They don't have any options. You know, they're trying to get back under you, but at that point your hips are on the ground. It's really hard for them to get under you. So that's what I like about using this position, is that if I've just lost the fight for the underhook, it's fine because I haven't lost the guard pass fight. It's just I just need to change the direction. And that's every time I roll with higher level people, that's always what their game is really, is kind of just, I mean, with the exception of some people that just smash you to death. There are those guys, but the people that I've rolled with that, to be honest, like getting smashed, I'm kind of used to it. It sucks, but it's not that bad. The people like you or JP, where it's like every movement I make, even if it's the right option, they can change the position to where it's not as good, and I'm constantly behind. Those rolls kill me because I get so tired because I'm just chasing. What's the difference between a knee cut and a knee slice? I don't really think there's a difference. It's just a different name for the same thing. I mean, I will say that there's a lot of different ways to do knee cuts. A lot of people have different preferences. To me, and I think it's been a long time since I think I've talked to you about your knee cut preference, because to be honest, I don't think you knee cut a lot. You always are going around. But if I was to guess, Topaz's knee cut variation, the way he does it, I might be wrong. So
I think he's going to be wrong. Let's see.
Okay, good. Okay. And what I mean by this is just the way we complete the knee cut once we've kind of gotten our positioning. Me, you know, I'm here, I've driven through, and I got my knee to the ground where I got in control of this. Maybe even I got this underhook. I'm staying very tight, driving my knee into the ground to flatten him, and using this pressure to kind of kill the hook that he has. Even if they have a good, big, like a strong hook, I can still then just hip out, you know, and I'm not giving any space back. I would assume, kinda, that Topaz goes with the mindset that I've seen a lot of people, where instead of driving like low and in, they're kneeing out and essentially sliding out, and not caring about creating that distance because they're going up high to almost like a north-south position where you can't catch them with their legs. So if he's here, he would probably be driving his leg out and down out here to turn up high up here, because I feel like he's okay with the scramble of your legs because he's going to be high enough where you can't hook it.
Actually, you're right. Maybe 75%.
Okay, good.
But that is true. So the big difference for me, and this is a good angle here. The big difference for me is, one, I want to put my head right into his jaw. So I don't like to knee cut from here with this up posture. I like to go from here because I'm using my head to bend his spine. I want to use my head to bend his spine that way and create a bow with his body. So that's one main difference that I like. I like to get this underhook, control this sleeve. I like to control over the arm and just grab the entire arm. And then I like my head right in here. And then just like John said, when I cut, I follow the angle of his leg. So whatever direction his leg is pointing in, that's the way I slide. And I'm essentially grinding my shin all the way down this bone. I feel like if I try to go this way, you get jammed up a lot. Block with your hand here. Yeah, you'll get jammed up here. People will fight like this, and they will continue to do this. So I like to bow the body here and follow his leg out.
Yeah, I can't follow. My arm becomes
His
useless.
arm becomes useless at that point. I follow his leg out. And then once I'm clear, I walk around. My hips never touch the mat. I walk around. And now my pressure is on him. All my weight is on him as I walk around. What I see a lot of people do is they like to stay high here, which is fine. It's a technique. Good information doesn't displace other good information. They stay high, and then when they come through, their knee is on the mat. Now there's no weight on him really, because it's all here now. This is my point of contact, and they try to drive this way. Their head's bringing their body weight over here, where you could be in a better position here, but even better here. The weight is much. I mean,
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting pinned down where I can't. Like if I can turn into him, holding his legs and using and protecting myself is easier. But as soon as I start to get turned out here, it's much harder for me because my hips want to come back this way. Which anytime they go up from that way from here, he's past. So it's like
this is what I tell people mentally. I'm a big person. I'm a big believer in mental training mentally, and maybe we'll go into it a little bit later. But especially for you, if you're going to compete, right? And you know you have a coach, and maybe the table's on this side. You guys can be setting up however you want, but then you intentionally make sure that you're facing towards your coach, towards the clock, towards the table. One, you can manage time. Two, you can hear a little bit better. But now once I start to initiate this, in my mind I say goodbye to everybody. I'm like, all right, goodbye everybody. And now my head is down here. I'm nice and low until I finish this pass. And then once I finish, I look up at my coach like, did I do a good job, coach? Like, because that's really where you should be. And you can drill that way too. Like, I'm in this zone where when you're doing this knee cut, any position where you're, like what I say, burying my head is what I call it.
yeah.
Like I have my eyes closed and I'm visualizing the completion of the technique. Like I'm not even worried about what they're doing. I can feel it. I close my eyes and then I go into the technique and visualize all the reps that I've done. Especially with this, when I'm in this position, especially when I'm on bottom doing a lot of sweeps and setups and stuff, cross side attacking arms. Like everything to me is visual at that point, or mental at that point.
Yeah.
I can feel where they are. Long kind of diatribe to answer your question, but just a different kind of approach that I take to training and to having fun. You know.
Yeah, and that's where it's like I tell new people like there's definitely wrong ways to do things, right? You know, like there's definitely wrong ways to do things. But even sometimes wrong things work. And why did it work? Oh, it was kind of maybe the right timing, whatever. But when it comes to these things, I find it's like find kind of what works best for you or you're more comfortable with. We were having this conversation with somebody the other day because he was asking about like, I don't know if he worded it just this way, but essentially what he was asking was like, how do I find my game? Like, how do I find what I'm good at or what I'm going to like? And it's like, you got to just try things and find what you like. But you're going to find the flavor of a thing that you like the way doing a knee cut, the way doing a Toriano pass, the way doing any of these things. Sometimes something's just going to work a little better for you for some reason. Maybe it's your body type. Maybe it's kind of the way you learn to use your leverage in that position. And that's what's great about like all this stuff is like Tobez's game is way different than my game. Probably because he's better than me. But we have very similar body types, but our games are very, very, very different. But neither's bad, you know. It's just whatever works best for you.
Yeah, I like to talk about. I like to capture it as being efficient and being effective, or should I say being effective and being efficient, right? So if you look at it from a boxing perspective, right, I can go a 10-round boxing match and win. Yes, that was effective. Or I can go one round and knock the guy out. That's effective as well. But what's more efficient for me, winning him one round or taking damage for 10 rounds? They're both efficient. They're both effective, but one's more efficient than the other. So the beauty about jiu-jitsu is your efficiency can be based on your biology,
Yeah,
right? By your bone structure, by your capabilities or limitations. That's what's really cool about jiu-jitsu because we can make things be effective in numerous ways.
Yeah.
But what's efficient for John may not be efficient for me because I may not have, the hip flexibility or I may have less strength in one arm. So yeah, it's effective, but it's not efficient for me.
Yep.
That's what I enjoy about jiu-jitsu the most. That's what I think is awesome.
And that's it was early on that I was going to competitions where I saw people that like were missing a leg from the knee, like from the knee down, were missing something, or like missing part of their arm or something, competing, and I was like, oh, and to be honest, like watching them win a lot, and going, oh, well, they're just taking the fact that, I mean, because here's the thing, sometimes having the hand on the end of your arm here makes it harder to get a choke in. You don't need the hand to choke. You need this part. And when, I mean, I know this is, but when you have just a nub here instead, it's like, it's hard keeping, good luck keeping that from under your neck, and it's like, I'm not going to walk up and go, oh man, I wish I didn't have my hand, but damn, they're making it work for them. And that's what's awesome about it. So I saw that very early, and it was like, it's just another thing that reaffirmed that this was like such a great sport or whatever. Do you ever do no-gi or do you just do a gi? I do both. The coach that I train under is a primarily gi person. The gym I train at mostly is, I think they have maybe one no-gi class a week on Fridays. But I've done a lot of no-gi over the years. I think as an older person, I think I prefer gi, simply because I feel like I can slow things down a lot. Although in gi or in no-gi, I feel like I can't get stuck as much. Like I feel like I have a lot more options on movement and getting out of space and using space. Where in gi, it's like they get a grip on that and tight end. You have to deal with that because you're never going to get away now, So gi is better in your opinion? Like I said, as an old person, I like gi better. So I'm going to piggyback off of what we were just talking about, or what we were working on at first, with that back step, because there's another option you can use when you do this back step. I feel like it's something you have to be ready to do and just do it. I don't think you can, I guess you can wait this out, feel what you're doing, and then go for it. But to me, I find when I've seen people have success with it the most, is when they essentially backstepped and then went right into this, which is essentially moving to what I call the three-quarter guard or quarter guard. Three-quarter, I don't know, people call it, I think I just call it quarter guard because it's easier to say. But it's where like you essentially kind of have a mount, but they have control of your leg. That's something I've been using a little bit more lately, simply because some of my passing lends itself to quarter mount, there you go, lends itself to kind of going to that. And kind of things I found from there in terms of they have a good option for an elbow escape, but if you control that arm and stuff, then you can start using that and actually get to mount. So I'm going to show that real quick. It's essentially, once we back step, we're pushing the leg down and stepping over. And you're going to see it comes right into the three-quarter mount. So I think probably this is the best way to show it. So again, I'm in here. I'm going to my headquarters because this is where I usually go to knee cuts from. I'm not kneeing him in the groin as I go over. They get the underhook. I'm grabbing here, posting, coming back. So now that I'm here, and I knew I was going to be ready to do this, as I pop this down, I'm driving my knee to the ground and stepping over. A lot of times, I try to underhook here. Even if they have this frame, I like to catch this because then I can start to flatten. But what I have to be cognizant of is that they have an easy, if I'm not heavy enough, they have a good chance to elbow escape here. And then go ahead and just do the elbow escape and push through and get back to half guard. And they're most likely, because I'm having this, they're going to have the underhook. And this is not where I want to be. So I'll show it again, and then I'll kind of just talk about like what I think from there. Is a knee bar a good idea from there? So there is ways a knee bar from here, I believe, if I remember correctly. Truthfully, I don't think I've attacked them from here before, and I don't think I know enough to really speak on it in truth. So let's get back a little bit or something.
But that's why, just to answer your question real quick, that's why as soon as John backsteps, you'll notice I switch my feet. So I'm here. Yeah, as soon as he backsteps, I switch from this where I was in half guard to this to prevent him from going for the knee bar. I'll switch over and then I get and then I'll put
because
my feet
if I sunk in here
Yeah.
with that hook, yeah, that's a good point.
So that's why we'll be in this kind of Go back to your passing position.
Okay.
I'll turn it this angle. As John starts to initiate this back step, yeah, I was here in half guard, but right away I switched to here and protect the top leg and get my feet down.
Yeah, that's true. Because yeah, if he leaves that open, especially if I feel like I'm not getting a good enough pin on him or there's too much space, that's very easy for me to, essentially because I have my leg through, follow my leg through and hook and then start attacking. So, but once we backstep here, again, it's the same principle as before in that we don't want to allow that leg to, needs to be pointed up because that's where he's going to have all those options. So we're immediately coming down here, regardless of what we're going to do with it. In this case, I then kind of hip out so that I can turn my knee down to the mat. Because what I find that does is it makes it easy for me to step over. If I try to step over with my knee pointed to the sky, it's hard to do. And if I try it with my knee to the sky, I have no control of him going under me. So I'm going to come up, and yeah, I don't like that. So what I do is I'm scooting this knee out enough so that I can turn it down to the ground. Hopefully you guys can see this from here. I go out and I turn my knee down to the ground so that I can drive it down as I step over. And I'm trying to keep my shoulder pressure tight here because if I don't, that's going to give him that easy bumping me to kind of start using this. So what I find I tend to do from here is I'm keeping that shoulder pressure I've tried to keep the whole time, and I'm hooking on the elbow here and walking up and getting my knee down and getting my chest high because I feel like then I can pinch my knees and kind of hug, and it's going to keep him flat. If he is really doing a good job, let's spin around. Just face your hands this way. If he's doing a good job of using this arm, like Topaz is really great at keeping these arms tucked in to use. I might have to kind of give up on this underhook and transition to the tricep and pull up so I can start to limit his ability to push. Because he really can't elbow escape without the elbow. So what I'm trying to do is essentially tuck this in so I can flatten back out. I can use this to start to hook and escape. The other option I have, I didn't really plan on going into this, but is because I have a good underhook on this side, I can turn this into a knee cut this way. In that I'm here, let's say I have this tucked up, I can transition my head, knee up through here and drive through. And even if he still has control of that, my flattening out is going to kind of pull through. Just another option. But when we do that, we just got to make sure we're maintaining the underhook. Because if we lose the underhook at any point, we're going to lose the whole position. A quarter mount is a transition to single leg X possible. For the person on the bottom, I'm assuming. Yeah, because if you elbow escape, you're gonna elbow escape to half guard with the underhook. That's usually easy to get under to with a single leg. But the thing is, I don't know if I go to a single leg. I think I'd only go to single leg if you started to respond by standing from that.
Yeah, from quarter mount. No,
Yeah.
There's much easier positions to get to from bottom.
Yeah.
Or transition to the single
Yeah.
leg.
Like to me from that bottom, if you have that leg and that quarter mount, your option, like your escapes into like X guard and stuff are probably more reasonable. Or that what do we call it?
I mean, I would just, like we were saying, in a logical order, I would go to half guard and then go to half guard to single leg X, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby Bola, not part of my game.
So yeah, I mean that's the way I look at it. That's the way I'd approach it, and go back to half guard and then reassess from there.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, essentially by that point, you've changed the position. Same concept. From the bottom, you're changing the position from something where they were at a more advantage. Because to me, if I'm on bottom and they have that quarter mount or whatever, I feel like I'm on the ledge and I have a grip.
Yeah.
You know, I don't feel like I'm in a good spot because I have control of their leg. I feel like you know, don't you use that baby bola. I might. I don't know if it's called a baby bola. I don't know. Do you know what a baby bola
Yeah,
is?
baby bola. Yeah, it's like a berimbolo, but only halfway.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so that is my yes, my berimbolo is a baby bola because I always turned it into a leg drag because I could never
Invert all
I could never. Well, it's like I started to one day I decided to show what it kind of was supposed to look like on Kyle, and it actually did better than I expected, but it was still kind of messy. But yeah, so I find like to me. Once I've got them over and I'm in that under position, it's easier for me to just drive that through and come up and drive through because I like that position anyway. That's one of the things that get you locked in there. And actually, that's why I try to switch. Sometimes I'll try to switch my knees to from the leg drag to the folder so that I can transition them out.
Yeah, I mean, and it brings us into what we're saying. I mean, it really all comes down to what is efficient for you, right? Efficient from an energy system standpoint, like how am I gonna continue to fight and not get tired, not get fatigued, and then also what's effective. So for me, even in that situation, even if I were to get the elbow back in and start to elbow escape to half guard, I'm still not even setting up a half guard technique from there. I'm coming back out.
Yeah.
So it really depends on what your game is.
Yeah, see that's the thing. Yeah, I guess you don't do a lot. Actually, now that I think about it, you don't really do a lot. I mean, you know things from the bottom half guard, but you don't seem to.
I don't
you
really
don't want to
like
use that. Which is probably the smarter thing. It's like you're very rarely crushed by Kyle and stuff. I'm guessing. So no, that's again because like I really like the bottom half guard. So it's like getting through there is kind of my default almost. Now that being said, 3 years from now that might be different. I might go that's just not smart. Maybe too many times getting stuck under Kyle or something like that where I'm like, maybe there's better options. Do you have any questions? Anyone else have any questions out there? I don't really know how many people are out there. This thing's not very accurate, so but if you're out there, say hi. Other than Josh is always on my streams. He's probably my most loyal stream follower, to be honest. I don't know why. I'm a scraggly old person. We got about 15 minutes in.
He's like, I'm the winner.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. So what is, I guess I could ask you this. This is probably a question that you've been asked a million times recently, but I'll just ask again. How long have you guys been training? Burger Bills. What's up, Burger Bills? I don't know if that's like do you like the Bills? Burger? Nah, I'm thinking Roethlisberger. I thought he was a Steelers fan at first. So I've been training for 7 years as of last month. And
I've been training for 10 years as of like now, I think, in August. I think it's something like that. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
With multiple deployments built in there. But hey, look, since we have time, I'll eat up some of your time.
Yeah.
One of the big things I've been focusing on is a lot of conditioning and solo drilling. So anyone who's kind of talked to me during this pandemic, the stay at place kind of mandate orders, or has been on my Instagram or whatever, I'm a big believer in conditioning and mindset. So people are frustrated by not having partners to train with, right? So what I tell people is, hey, your mindset should be get as good as I can at my own conditioning, my own flexibility, and my own mindset, and I'll be a step ahead of everyone else when we get back, because they're not training either. Yeah. So what do I mean by that? My whole approach for this time has been takedown, pass, submit, takedown, pass, submit, takedown, pass, submit. If for some reason I were to end up on bottom, my mindset is create enough space to get back to my feet. I'm not working on sweeps. I'm not working on submissions from bottom. Like all that stuff requires partners. Yeah. But what doesn't require a partner is getting back to my feet, controlling my own body in space, doing solo takedown drills, and having better conditioning. Yeah. So if I say takedown, pass, submit, I'm just going to wear people down and do it that way while we're getting our technique and our timing back by going to class. But when you start up, at least white belt to white belt, blue belt to blue belt, maybe one belt level up, you're going to be a step ahead. So that will also allow you to train more often
Yeah.
once training comes back up, and to train more effectively and more efficiently because you already have conditioning. When you show up on day one, if you can't last a 3-minute
Yeah.
drill,
Yep.
leg drag drill, then how's that even going to help you? So this is what I've been preaching for five weeks, and what I've been helping people drill for essentially 5 weeks. So just one drill that I've been doing recently, since we're talking back step, and it's a solo drill. So really, we've been a lot of people don't like to back step, and you're good there. I don't really need any space because they don't really have the flexibility within their spine, and they just don't have the mobility, to be frank. So really, if you just go into this kind of lazy down dog position, right, all we're doing is turning our hips to the floor and just doing that side to side for like, I like to do Tabata intervals, so 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off for 8 rounds, and we're going here. What we're not doing is this pivot foot is not coming out like a sit out, excuse me, which is the biggest mistake I see new people make, is they're like, oh, we're doing sit outs, and they'll start to do this, which is a completely different movement for a completely different situation. But what we're looking at is just dropping our hips, and we're pivoting on this side leg, which, if there really was a person there, yeah, you can be there. If there really was a person there, I'd drop here. I'd drop here, and I'd back step. So it's the same motion. I'm just not doing the step. And if I want to, I can. But the other point is 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. Notice my hips never touch the mat when I backstep. So I don't go here and take a break where all my weight is on this leg that's down. Because what that does, one, it's a bad habit. Two, but when I really execute this, right, and I'm actually backstepping, this leg is in the air. I'm driving through my toes here and putting all of the pressure, let's turn here, onto the guy that's underneath. So I'm not here. Notice my legs down. I'm here.
Yeah, the big difference.
And now all the weight is driving through my toes into John's face.
There's a big difference between how the two feel. As soon as your hip hits the ground, all the weight goes out for me.
Yeah. So this is one of many drills that we do. But my mindset is I actually have this person here, and I'm hitting my back. Then I can add in. And I'm doing that, building that muscle memory and that conditioning. I long step a lot.
Yeah.
Long step, it's the same thing. I love to long step. That's like one of my favorite things to do. So this is really good for that. But mindset, man, mindset's like really huge with especially during this time, visualization, mindset.
Yeah, and I think that's the key to any of this is just ask yourself, what are you getting better at right now? You know, like, make sure you're getting better at something. And the stuff he's talking about is, like, to me, that's the key stuff. Like, if you get those movements and those fundamental, like, things down, especially that hip movement, it applies in so many different aspects of jiu-jitsu. It applies in so many different positions where that thought process of moving your hip and turning your hip. I mean, and any sweeps where you're essentially sweeping your hips under them, where you're kind of reverse shrimping under them. It's the same thing. It's almost that hip turn where it's a scoop. It's like this hip turn is what's really important. So that kind of drilling, to me, will pay so many dividends in all aspects of your jiu-jitsu. It's good. It's great advice. So I've been doing home workouts. That's good. That's good. And you know, kind of something we had talked about before. I might have mentioned on a stream before. I don't know. The last couple of weeks have been some weird, hazy blur of just things happening. But I lost my train of thought now. What the point was on that? Was just to me, if you're gonna try to get better at any kind of jujitsu stuff, like not a hip movement type thing, like a physical thing, but a mental thing, just focus on one thing. And I would even, to be honest, if you're doing a movement drills of some sort or some sort of drilling like Topaz was talking about, pair up that with something like in terms of a technique. And what I mean by that is, like there's probably in the last 3 weeks, 8,000 hours of new jujitsu content that's been released on the internet, I would say. And I'm just making these numbers up as I go. But I mean, just from everybody making free videos, to everybody streaming stuff, to everybody putting live stream stuff out there. There's so much out there that it's too much. So if you're thinking about like and this is just for me personally, I've been focusing on basically like one set of things, one kind of things that I can work on getting better at in terms of movement, in terms of technique. And I'm just thinking about that this whole time. When I train and do movement stuff or whatever, I'm doing different things, but my thought process from a jiu-jitsu perspective is like, let's say this thing goes on another month or two or whatever, that's like a 4-month block of time. That's generally how much time I spend on one kind of thing that I'm trying to get better at anyway. Like when I'm rolling and training and stuff, I want to say if I'm working on like from close guard, like one thing I worked on last year and I still am getting a lot of work on is when I have close guard, the 2-on-1 attacks on arms, getting armor cross, attacking the back from there, using that to sweep. I probably spent 4 months just getting into close guards as best as I can and working on that. Because that's the amount of time it takes me to kind of start to feel comfortable about it, to where I'm like, I feel like I put myself in this position now in the 4 months, 200 times, 300 times. I'm starting to now feel the position. I feel the hip movement. I feel what they're going to react and stuff. And so my thought process is use this 4-month time frame to just work on something else. Like if it's a hip movement thing like that I'm working to get better at, focus on that. And what technique am I looking at, When the government says gyms will reopen at a certain time, does that include BJJ gyms? Who knows? That's a very, and it's gonna, to be honest, it's gonna be different every place you are, in truth, Some places it might be, it's open, do what you want. And in other places it might be, it's open, but you can't look at anybody while you're in there. So it's like, what's it gonna look like after the fact? It's hard to tell. And like you being over in the UK, I don't know what their plans are for stuff. I don't know, comparative to here, how things are. I mean, I'd say we're in I obviously we're like a hotbed area, but one of the hotter areas considering just the number of people and stuff in the area.
Yeah.
But we'll see. But my plan is to keep doing the stream throughout all this stuff, and as we talked about, just use the time to do our best to work on what we can, So I think we could probably end on that. Do you want to tell them your Instagrams and all that stuff?
Workplay Obsession. Workplay Obsession on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat. We're on everything.
All the things.
The actual website is workplayobsession.com. And we put out a lot of information on visualization, mental edge, physical intelligence, of course, jiu-jitsu, yoga, like everything. We run the gamut, man. Anything to have a healthy brain, healthy life.
Yeah.
So,
I'll say I follow a lot of jiu-jitsu things and stuff on Instagram and all this stuff. What I really appreciate about Topaz's stuff, the Workplace Obsession, is it's not just jiu-jitsu centric. It's like it's everything. It's essentially like wellness, betterness. So it's actually, to be honest, it's a break from all the jiu-jitsu stuff that is on my streams. I pay much more attention to your stuff than a lot of the other stuff. So check them out, follow them, and that's it. Until next time, everybody. I'll be back next Saturday, or next Sunday. I don't have any parties planned or anything. So I think we'll probably either be back here or at in the basement at home. So until next time, have a good week, everybody. Stay safe.
Stay safe.
Get better. Tell me how you got better next week, Josh. Tell me how you got better this week going into next week, and I'll tell you how I got better. Okay.